Common sense.
Is it really that common?
I wonder. I mean, from what I've been hearing lately, it's not that common.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today in Get Real with the English Sisters.
Because, I mean, common sense, like now there's been a whole like palaver and scandal about the lion head.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Kylie Jenner wearing the lion head. Now, I just think it would be common sense.
For you?
For me, like if I was a designer, first of all, I think I consider it in bad taste, but then common sense with everything that's going on in the world about this trophy hunting and that, not to post something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And you would agree, so you would have the same common sense as me.
Yeah, I can understand the artist's idea of doing something that's shocking, you know, as they always want to do in the fashion shows, you know, something that shock and surprise people and have that explosion of, oh, you know, everyone claps. But in this case, I do think
people did clap in this case.
I don't know if they clapped or not because I wasn't there and I haven't.
They certainly didn't clap on social media.
On social media, I can understand the grotesque and the lack of basic common sense that some people, you know, think, oh, come on. You know, some things are just not, you don't really want to go around with an animal head, even if it is in foam.
Yeah.
Because it was clearly,
it was
fake.
It's grotesque because it's just a head. If it had been the whole animal costume, it would have been a fine.
Well,
probably.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That does go down to basic common sense. So, what we're saying here is common sense really that common? And
I don't think so.
Yeah,
because I'm sure that design he was supposed to be representing the Dante something.
The Inferno di Dante.
So it was supposed to be a representation of it. But I think yes, you can represent it in different ways.
That's why I can understand
there's a lack
his
of common sense there.
Well, yeah, because you're showing it to a massive audience, and there are so many people that.
It's also because there's a political discussion going on now with the fact that, you know, animals are still being hunted, and there's this massive trophy hunting. So it's like before they used to wear foxes and things around there.
God, yeah, I've still got an image of. I think when we were little in England, I
remember seeing the fox tails, but I don't remember seeing the actual head. But you said,
do you know what?
I
think I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but I think once when we went to Doctor, what was his name? Come on, yes,
it was horrible.
Yes, you do remember it. What was he called? Our doctor when we were little. That doctor, the one who would give us the Bentley. Yeah, going into his studio. Do you remember how quaint everything was? And his wife would do these gorgeous floral decorations, and it was all quite posh. And you would sit there waiting for Dr. Bentley to call you. We were always terrified because it was going to be giving us some kind of an injection. Violetta would totally gave me a fear of injections because whenever he would say it's our turn to come in, he would call our mum's name, and then Violetta, we would go in, Violetta would scream, and I would think, gosh, if she's screaming, because she's a year older, there's obviously something really dangerous in there going on, and it would freak me out. And then my mum would always try and calm us. Anyway, the whole thing, while I was waiting, I think, for you were taken into that room and the door was being closed, a lady came in with the fox, into the studio. Because, do you know what? It was kind of... The doctors, but it was all kind of deceiving because it was like in a house. It was in a house, and she had this pretty front garden, which was similar to our house. Yeah. So it wasn't like a big clinical building you would go into. No. It was just up the road from us. It all looked really friendly.
It's probably his house if you think about it.
I bet you he lived there. It's just that when we were little, I bet you anything. It looked like it was like a front room, you know, being turned into a waiting room. And then, this lady came in with this fox on a little fox head, very close to her human face. I remember seeing this little fox thing, and she was very kind, I think, just like smiling and reading a magazine.
Because it used to be fashionable, didn't it?
That's what I mean, so I think that may have been the first time I saw a fox head, and then obviously in films. Like in the Agatha Christie old movies, you would see these women coming along with these fox heads on.
I mean,
grotesque, really.
It was grotesque then, but I think like the lion head. I know it wasn't real, but there is so much trophy hunting. I just think it's in bad taste. It's not common sense.
Yes.
That is just one of the examples of not being common sense.
Not having common sense.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're going to have to do about it. I don't know if there's going to be, maybe this is...
By the time this is live,
they'll do something about it. But it's just... And I was talking to my daughter as well, and she was telling me how much she notices how few people do actually have common sense.
What, amongst her generation?
Yeah, she's saying it's not that common, Mum, because people they'll study things and they'll they keep things in boxes. So from their
one thing, taking it
into their own lives and researching things about their personal health.
I don't know about that.
About contraception, about how to not to get pregnant.
But the thing is, are you built with common sense? Do you think it's genetical? Some kind of genetical intelligence that's passed on?
No, I think you learn it from, maybe.
I think maybe it's both. Maybe there is a genetical component to it. And in all of your family's history, you can't see past your nose, then maybe the whole family is lacking.
Or is it maybe because people tell you scary stories? Like Mum used to tell us about how her sister got pregnant.
Of course, you do learn through scary stories.
And then afterwards we found out that, as adults, she could have even been given that date rape drug.
I bet you she was,
because she said she couldn't remember anything, and her mum would never believe her.
Maybe she just drank a bit too much and she couldn't remember anything either. Because, if you get tipsy.
Tipsy, you'd have to be pretty
No, not
drunk.
tipsy. I mean drunk. If you get drunk, for a young woman, she was very petite. She was a girl, wasn't she?
I don't think she drank that much. She said she wasn't drunk.
Oh, she wasn't?
No.
Well, anyway, this is going back into our family history. I don't know. She said she wasn't drunk. Maybe you weren't even allowed to drink in those days.
A thing about it. Yeah. I think nowadays she would have slipped something in her drink.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe. But we are talking about when are we talking?
What I was saying is that we tell these stories
we tell them to everyone.
Passed down
and they're getting passed down to you now.
Our kids and to you. So, these are stories that they're like learning stories that in the end they build up your common sense, because they give you input and then you can decide to do with it what you will.
Yes.
But for me, I thought I'm going to be watching out, not making sure I don't have anyone else's drinks and things like that.
Yeah.
Making sure if I order a drink, it's going to be me, and I see where it
really
comes from.
Well, yeah.
And that one. And my daughter was the reason why I'm thinking this, because we were talking the other day. We were walking and talking on the treadmill. She's in London at the minute, and she was telling me, "Mum, I still remember when you told me not to take anyone's drinks because there could be a drug in it, a date rape drug or something."
I told that to my boys as well. I said, "I know you're boys,
but it doesn't make any difference.
Don't take any drinks that you don't order yourself. Don't trust it."
It's the same with drugs, isn't it? So all these things they get passed down in stories, and then it's just common sense. You'd think it was common sense, but maybe it isn't. It's just something, because if you had no input, our minds are like computers, aren't they, in the end?
Yeah, but they do have a genetic component, though.
Yeah, but if it was blank and we didn't have much around us, would this common sense even exist? We would have fear of fight or flight.
Oh, yeah, some things are just instinctive.
Yes, instinctive, and...
fear of fire and no fire places. I don't know, you touch it and then it hurts at first. You're fascinated.
You have a fear of heights is a natural thing.
Yeah
fear of loud noises,
that's true innate. Yeah, because that's danger, isn't
that's built into our primordial brains,
right? Well, I think so. If you think you're a person that maybe doesn't have that much common sense because you get yourself into trouble, or you say the wrong kind of things, or you're doing the wrong, you think, God,
Even getting common sense, I would use common sense as if you've had a bad relationship because you've been you've been in a relationship with, say, someone that's treated you badly, and the signs are there right from the start. You might ask them to do something, they say no way, or F off, or do something, they swear at you and they're very rude, and you just think that might be that kind of their banter. But if you see that same thing in the next relationship you get, maybe you can start thinking, maybe I'm attracting that kind of person.
there are people that do attract these kind of people to their lives, but I think that may be a more deeper underlying issue here about why you choose to be in an abusive relationship. Often it's because when you were very little, that's what you learnt, and that actually makes you feel safe in an odd kind of way, because your parents may have been your caretakers. You may have suffered from some kind of abuse, even, I'm not talking about deep physical or sexual abuse, but even just like verbal abuse. That I'm saying just, and I mean it's not just, but I mean these kind of verbal, it's because it's something that, even though it may sound awful, it's familiar to you. So I think there may be a kind of a deeper, it may be not just a question of common sense in this particular case that you're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Where I would say that the common sense would come in is if it's happened to you once and you think, why do I always attract these people?
Yes, and
then maybe you can ask yourself the further question.
Yes.
Is there something in me that's needing this?
Help, therapy, etc.
Yes, and then maybe I should go to therapy, or I should try and inform myself on this so that I can get out of
the thing about it is
because I think once you realize you're in those, that's when the common sense comes in.
The common sense comes from asking yourself why.
Yeah.
But in order to ask yourself why, you have to have common sense. So it's a bit of a double.
No, but sometimes you have been in a relationship, because I hear people talking about this all the time, and people come to us for therapy like this.
Yeah.
And they once you've made that step to either talk about it or go to therapy about it or tell your friends about it, that means that you're already aware of it.
That's right.
Which means that that's when you can grab some common sense. Say, if you could buy it, I'm going to buy some common sense and say, here, what do I have to do to break this pattern?
Yes. Ask yourself the why and what, and then take that next step into having more of this common sense deep within you, that a sense to protect yourself, a sense of what, if we really think, what does common sense mean? It means that it's kind of like a protection system put into place. It's like your own very own firewall, if we want to talk about it like that, isn't it? That protects you from threats and things in the outside world, and it also protects the people you love and generally keeps you safe, I think, having common sense. So I do think that if you can ask yourself the why question, it can be useful, definitely. I mean, it does come also with age. Obviously now we're in our 50s,
I don't think so,
I think even as young,
in their 50s that still haven't got it.
Yeah, that's why can't they literally see? They don't.
A friend like that. They shouldn't. It's like they never learn. They never learn from their mistakes. They never learn from.
My hubby's a bit like that. Let's face it. I mean, he does. He's.
I
don't want to get personal, but come on. I say, haven't you learned from this? I can't understand why he doesn't learn from it. Like he's a compulsive buyer, and it'll always go in. Oh God, yeah. Let's not get personal. It's tiring, but yes.
I'm just joking about me.
No, because it's always about me in the end, but...
It's not about you, it's because that's what happens in life.
Yeah, come on. I say, haven't you learned from this experience? And very often, he doesn't remember it, or maybe that's common sense as well. What do you think?
Well...
I mean,
I think the gains there, what your husband gets from buying more is he gets like a high.
He gets a high, yeah, I know,
and
it's
he
addictive.
Enjoys it. Yeah. He's like addicted. Yeah. Addicted. He would need therapy.
Yeah, but I can't give it to him.
No, because you're too personal. But you would really have to go and understand what the underlying issues. Why does he have this addictive personality?
Yeah.
To want to keep buying things. What is he trying to fulfill?
Exactly.
What's missing in his life?
I hope it's not his relationship. He always says it's not.
Italian wife.
I don't know. Yeah. One to really scream, and
he says it isn't his relationship.
No. I hope it's not his relationship. Yeah, I do think maybe there was something lacking there, maybe, or I don't know. Just anyway.
The common sense is just. I think your common sense. I think if you feel that you do not have common sense, and you find you're getting yourself into trouble in various situations, then identify what those situations are, and then maybe work on them by finding out, researching more about that kind of stuff, and maybe thinking ahead as well a little bit.
Yeah, I think
you're thinking ahead, so
can really help.
What you can do is you can visualize what would happen if you got into that situation. So say if you didn't have contraception, you can just have a quick mental thing. What would happen if
I'm going out with so-and-so,
and then it ends up that we have a drink, or we don't have a drink, but we end up in bed, or we end up having sex. What would happen then? Is there any consequences? Could I get pregnant? Maybe I won't.
How am I going to feel afterwards?
How am I going to feel
the next
afterwards?
day?
Is it going to feel great? Is I going to feel as if I've been used? All these feelings? Am I going to feel as if I'm going to have to take something afterwards, which is going to make me feel ill? And then you might think, well, yeah, I'm going to postpone that date till the next day and get organised until next week. And then you can get organised, make sure you have got the right contraception. And you're
well, organisation is part of having common sense, isn't it? Being organised.
Maybe the two and two come together. Maybe if you start by getting a bit more organised, then common sense will come to you.
Yeah, because it means you're forced to think about a little bit less impulsive.
Yes.
So you're forced to think about how you're going to feel afterwards, after you spend that amount of money, or after you've gone on that date, had that experience. How are you going to feel? But maybe some people just say, I don't know how I'm going to feel, and they just don't even want to think about it. They don't want to go there. They don't want to.
Well, then it's a conscious decision. If you don't really want to go there, you've thought about it already, and you say, I don't want to go there, then you're already consciously saying, I'm not going to go there. So then you can just do it, I suppose. And then you have to
face the consequences.
The consequences, and it's your responsibility to
you take that jump, and then you've got to you've got to face the consequences. I mean, I do think that we were kind of taught a little bit about common sense as well, through the stories, like what you were saying before, and learning generally what things to say, not to hurt people as well, and to be kind. You would think that was part of common sense as well.
Yeah, but it's not really.
It's not really. Even like texting,
you learn from modelling your other people, or like copying what
model,
your parents did, what your people around you do, with your parents kind.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have the opposite, because I know lots of people that their parents were one way and they'll do the opposite on purpose.
Right.
I was listening to the Diary of a CEO, and he was saying today that his parents used to shout a lot, and so he says he'll never shout.
He hated that.
Yeah, he hated that. So you can...
He learned not to do it.
You can learn not to do things as well. But
you can choose, I guess. Yeah.
I think the importance is to have choice and to be aware of where your mind is taking you and what you're doing. And then you'll be much more in control, which will in turn will help with your anxiety. Because I think if you do...
You're so much more in control.
If you do have common sense... you can practically say goodbye to anxiety, because you're going to be able to deal with it in a much healthier way.
Absolutely. You can think, no, I'm going to use this special sense of mine, and I'm going to instinctively kind of feel what's going to be right for me, and make a good choice for you that will keep you will suffer a lot less from anxiety if you do use your common sense, because it is there really as a sense to protect you.
Yes. It's innate, I would say.
So innate and learnt. You learn from past experiences, learn from other people. You can learn even from what you're telling you today, our little stories. You learn to... And you can cultivate it, I think, even if you don't have much, and you think, I'm somebody that really doesn't have common sense, because also because you're getting yourself into these situations which you don't want to be in, and also because maybe some people have told you this in the past. God, use your common sense. People that lack it often have other people telling them.
People say that as much nowadays.
No? Here in Italian, they say giudizio, which means wisdom. So they would say, use your wisdom.
A bit retro that was when we were growing up. They used to talk about it a bit more.
Well, yeah, maybe they don't use it anymore, is it? But it's like a census is not used.
Yes, which is a bit of a shame.
Shame, yeah. I think we should bring it, get it, become trendy again. Cause
what do you think? Do you think common sense is there to protect you? Do you have common sense? Would you like to have more common sense?
Yeah.
I mean, if we think about it, it's not actually that common anymore. And maybe it never was. And maybe the people that actually learn to appreciate it and cultivate it are those that have that extra...
less anxiety and a bit happier and more live a more peaceful kind of... Not boring, but just because I'm making it sound like boring. No, not boring, because they can have a wild night. But they're just kind of like prepared for it.
They're boring because I used to think I'm not going to drink loads because I'm going to feel sick.
Because the next day I'm going to feel sick.
I'm going to feel horrible the next day.
So you miss out on the actual fun.
So on the actual just freedom of just doing what, saying.
Wild, feeling wild.
I feel wild child. I do what I do today. Tomorrow doesn't matter.
You didn't get that because you were like somebody that had like so much common sense.
Yeah.
It was scary to be around you as a teenager because I was literally scared because it was always, no, you are not allowed to do that. It was always, it's not allowed. And be careful. So obviously being 1 year younger, I had to have that wilder spirit and say no,
But I always think, we used to go around in raging miniskirts and punk hairstyles and things. Not punk, but like really extravagant clothes.
You wouldn't think by looking at us. No, that was just the 80s. That was the 80s, though. I think we were in London.
Extravagant 80s, because I remember going to Bristol and thinking, this doesn't look like what I had.
No, that's because we
used to
were
go around
in London.
In pajamas. We were rebels in
the
way
rebels.
We dressed.
Yeah, because that was okay though.
It was okay because it was safe, but maybe
it was during the day.
No, because look, that was the example. Because the common sense was there. You could go around in little mini skirts and bra tops, and nothing would happen. Or in your
during
pajamas,
the day, though.
During the day, yeah. But you could go to college like that, and then when you came to Italy and you did the same thing, like it was like, what the heck? That was not common sense doing that.
No, I didn't realise that.
You
though,
didn't realise
the first time I ever came to Italy, I was staying at my then boyfriend's apartment in a little tiny village called Frascati, which is well known for its wine. But I mean, it's not that I drank wine or anything. I didn't even know what it was, basically. And I was just staying there. And since in England, in London, you could go to the parks
in
and
your swimming costumes and bikinis.
Yeah, you could just walk down and lie on the grass. It was an apartment, so I thought, it's a beautiful sunny day. I am going to go in my bikini and lie on the grass in the park, which now sounds absolutely crazy if I think about an Italian mind, Anyway, I just walked down in my bikini. I think I probably had a towel around me. Walked down the cobble little steps, down the little road into this park area, which I thought was like and I had I was reading my book and just sunbathing, and I thought it was fine. I mean, I could see people staring at me, but I thought, oh, well, just old like people around me, like the villagers. And then I had a lovely time. Then I came back into my apartment. And then in the evening, when my boyfriend got back, he started yelling at me in Italian. I thought, what's he saying? And eventually, because I could hardly understand, I understood through my understanding Spanish that his auntie had phoned him and told him that his girlfriend had gone naked in her underwear down in the park, and the whole village knew about this event. It was a small village. The whole, literally, a town, yeah.
It's got a cathedral.
It's got a cathedral, yeah. Everyone knew about this girl that had been in her. To be fair, the bikini was white. So, but I mean, it wasn't transparent, but I can understand maybe why they thought it might have been underwear, but it was just trendy at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, oh my God, and he went like nuts on me. You can't do this here, capisci? free. And I was thinking, my God, you know, we're talking about like what a fuss. Come on. Goodness me.
You couldn't even wear shorts in those days.
You couldn't wear anything in those days.
I mean, now you can wear shorts, you can do anything practically, but there you couldn't wear shorts, you couldn't do anything because you get stared at and
a woman used to not be able to do anything.
You had to wear trousers, basically.
Yes, all women were in trousers. Yeah. That was in the 80s when all women wore trousers. They still do in Italy. Yeah, but, you know, 90% of women still wear trousers. But, yes, you were. There was no woman.
But I don't think I would have done that in Italy. But maybe I would have because I was rebellious. I wouldn't have thought it was such a big deal.
I didn't think
that was the cultural difference. That was the cultural difference of not really knowing where you were and what you were doing.
Yeah, to be fair, there was no one around. If I open but then everyone stares at you from the windows. I mean, you think there's nobody around and nobody can see me.
Yeah, because it's the time of the siesta.
Yeah, the siesta, man. No, it's like, gosh, getting a phone call when he was at work to tell him this and him having to rush back home and saying, what am I going to do with you? I'm thinking, God. You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know how I stuck it through.
No, you were pretty resilient.
I was resilient, yeah, but it must have been so hard for him as well.
That wasn't common sense. That was not common sense.
No.
Because you could, even just observing, I think that's the naivety of being so young, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because even just observing what other people are doing, you see there's no one did that. It's not as if there's loads of people in the park in their bikinis.
No, there was nobody there. Zero. No. Literally nobody. Zero. I thought it was perfectly safe.
Anyway, that's the lighter side of common sense. I think that goes back to a bit of the just sort of judging a room and seeing what's going on around.
Judging a room.
How many people are about the designer as well?
How many people are in swimming costumes? Nobody. Don't do it. Yeah, that's a good wise. That would, you see, you probably would have, since you were always born with that common sense and you had so...
Well, I don't know, but because when I first came to Italy, I came in my mini skirts with my boyfriend.
And you just said, stuff it. If they can't take it, this is me. Yeah,
I was a bit rebellious, but I didn't actually think it would be dangerous. But if I'd been on my own, I might have.
No, yes. Anyway.
No, I mean, that's a tricky one because I was 18, but that's where the mother's life lessons would have come in handy. But I don't know if we would have listened to our mum. You're in a bit of a rebellious stage when you're going through the young...
That's what I mean, the teenage
I wasn't really talking about teenagers as much as maybe a bit older.
Yeah.
But I suppose with contraception, it does come a lot to teenagers.
It does, that's why I was thinking about it.
Yeah, but even... like in the case of my daughter, she was talking about people that were slightly older, so they were like
they're in their
20s,
20s, 30s even.
Yeah, no, not 30s, but it can happen.
Right, yeah.
Well, it was in the younger sphere. I think it's just really about learning about things, learning different things, and just
reading the room is a funny way of saying it. Yeah, read the room.
Anyway, I think it's just about exhausted this topic. What do you think? Have you got common sense? Let us know. Come and follow us on, follow us
on Instagram, on YouTube. You can comment on YouTube. You can follow us and listen to this podcast and share it with your family and friends and click follow because it does help us. It helps us grow and helps us feel like acknowledged. As if hey, we've listened. Just say, I've listened.
Say hi.
Or just hi. Yeah, just a hi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lots of love and sending you some common sense over.
Smiles from the
English sisters. Bye.